You are not in a recession. You are in a rigged demolition of the American way of life, and it's happening faster than anyone will admit. Median rent just hit $2,098. Grocery prices are up 26% since 2020. Household debt just broke $17.5 trillion. And 61% of Americans are now living paycheck to paycheck, including people making six figures. This isn't a downturn. This is a transfer of everything you worked for to the top 0.1%. While you're debating whether to put gas or groceries on the credit card, the Fed printed $4.6 trillion in liquidity in just 4 years and handed most of it to Wall Street. What's really happening to the US economy? It's not failing. It's being harvested. And if you think I'm exaggerating, let me hit you with the truth nobody on TV will say out loud. This entire economy is now being held together by debt, denial, and desperation. The cracks aren't forming. They're already wide open. And the first place you see the collapse happening in real time is in the one thing Americans used to rely on to stay afloat. Let's get into it. Number 10. Credit card nation. America's middle class has been replaced by a loan balance. You want to know what's really happening to America's economy? Let me tell you what no politician will say out loud. The US consumer is cooked, boiled, done. We are not a nation of buyers anymore. We're a nation of borrowers pretending to still be in the game. As of Q4 2025, Americans now owe a record-breaking $1.13 trillion in credit card debt. That's with interest rates averaging over 22% APR, the highest level in modern US history. And it gets darker. According to the New York Fed, 47% of people carrying credit card balances are now falling behind on their payments. That's nearly 1 in 2 Americans sliding straight into delinquency territory. Think about that. Half of the people using credit cards aren't using them to rack up airline miles. They're literally swiping to buy groceries, gas, and diapers they can't afford otherwise. And you know what's even worse? It's not the poorest who are defaulting the fastest. It's the working class, the folks with jobs, W-2s, kids, and car payments. People who used to be okay, they're drowning. Because even if you're earning $70,000 a year, inflation has made that the new poverty line. Eggs are $5 a dozen. A used Toyota Corolla costs more than a new BMW did 10 years ago. Your rent? It's up 32% since 2020 nationwide. Wages haven't kept up, so people are plugging the hole with plastic. But the hole is getting wider. And now, we're out of duct tape. The average household credit card balance is now $7,951. But if you're under 35, that number jumps even higher. These aren't emergencies. This is the lifestyle now. Debt is the middle class. And what do the banks do? They celebrate, they roll out more credit offers, higher limits, and new fintech pay in 4 apps. Because they know Americans aren't consumers anymore. We're interest generators, we're leverage, we're the product. If you're still sitting there thinking this economy is recovering, look around. Most of us aren't buying things. We're borrowing the illusion of normalcy at 22.9% APR and praying we don't miss a paycheck. That's the real American dream now. Survive the billing cycle. 9. The eviction time bomb. No one is talking about. There is a tsunami of evictions coming to this country and nobody's ready. Not the tenants, not the cities, not the courts, not even the landlords, to be honest. We're not in a rental crisis anymore. We're in a rental collapse with the sound turned off so nobody panics. Across America, rent has skyrocketed 30 to 40% since 2021, but wages? They barely budged. And now that all the pandemic-era moratoriums, subsidies, and emergency aid have expired, we're watching the trapdoor open. According to data from Princeton's eviction lab, filings in 2025 have already surged past pre-pandemic levels in over 35 metro areas. In places like Houston, Atlanta, and Las Vegas, evictions are up 50% from 2019. This isn't just about bad tenants. These are families, nurses, teachers, warehouse workers, people who have a job but still can't afford $2,300 for a 2-bedroom in Phoenix. What are we doing? We've got 12 million households paying over half their income on rent. That's not housing, that's economic indenture. And the media? They're too busy reporting on Barbie movie box office records to tell you that 1 in 6 renters is now behind on payments. In fact, the Census Bureau's 2025 Household Pulse survey found 17.8% of U.S. renters fear eviction in the next 2 months. And it's worse for Black and Latino renters, who are twice as likely to be at risk. Now here's where it turns ugly. There's a backlog in housing courts across the country. Landlords are using AI-generated filing tools to fast-track evictions. In cities like Cleveland and St. Louis, people are being kicked out of homes without ever seeing a judge. Meanwhile, Wall Street-backed landlords, companies like Blackstone and Progress Residential, are buying up single-family homes by the thousands, jacking up rents, and filing mass evictions like it's a spreadsheet exercise. Because it is. You're not a tenant. You're a line item. So yeah, the homelessness crisis is about to get biblical. Not just tents under bridges. We're talking families living in cars, hotels, or worse, splitting one-bedroom apartments with 6 other people. And once you're out, good luck getting back in. Landlords blacklist evicted tenants for life. This isn't just a housing problem. It's a systemic collapse of affordability in one of the richest nations on earth. And it's already started. 8. The disappearing paycheck. Why you're poorer than you think. Everyone keeps asking the same question. Where did my money go? And the truth is, it didn't go anywhere. It was taken. Quietly. Month after month. Year after year. You just didn't notice because they did it with stealth. Through shrinkflation, taxation, inflation, and manipulation. Let's do some math here. The average American salary in 2025 is $59,428. Sounds decent, right? Now subtract federal income tax, 12 to 22%, state tax, FICA, 7.65%, and health insurance, which, by the way, costs the average worker $7,590 out of pocket per year just for premiums. Then there's housing. The national median rent is $2,048 per month. Add car insurance, which just spiked 26% in 2025 alone. Highest jump in over 40 years. Don't even get me started on groceries. You used to fill a cart at Walmart for $100. Now that same cart is $260 and missing half the produce. You are losing money every single day, but you don't see it because it's not one big theft. It's death by 1,000 cuts. The US dollar has lost 18.2% of its purchasing power since 2020. That means if you had $10,000 in savings back then, it buys you $8,180 worth of goods today. Congratulations, your dollars are melting. But guess who isn't losing purchasing power? Billionaires. In fact, America's top 1% gained over $5.6 trillion in new wealth during the same period. While your eggs doubled in price and your rent exploded, Elon Musk made $110 million per day. Corporate profits are at record highs. Stock buybacks are breaking new records. And yet real wages for workers have declined 3.4% adjusted for inflation. The game is rigged. You're not lazy. You're not bad at budgeting. You're not irresponsible. You are being systematically impoverished by a system that rewards monopoly, punishes labor, and taxes you for existing. You're not living paycheck to paycheck because of personal failure. You're living in a predatory economic structure designed to extract maximum value from the bottom 90%, while handing golden parachutes to the top 0.1%. And no, voting once every 4 years isn't going to change that. Because both parties signed off on this decades ago. You're on your own, and you better start acting like it. 7. The medical insurance scam that's bankrupting the working class. You know what's quietly bleeding Americans dry while no one pays attention? Medical insurance. Yeah, the thing that's supposed to protect you from going bankrupt if you get sick. But let's be honest, it is the thing bankrupting you. The average health insurance premium for an American worker in 2025 is now $8,430 a year, and that's just your half. Your employer usually covers the rest, bringing the total to over $24,000 per household. And that doesn't include your deductible, which is probably $3,000 to $5,000 per person before your insurance kicks in. Oh, and let's not forget co-pays, co-insurance, out-of-network penalties, surprise ambulance fees, denied claims, and the $389 you're randomly charged because the anesthesiologist wasn't in your network. So what are you even paying for? You're basically paying thousands of dollars a year not to go to the doctor because you can't afford to use the insurance you're already paying for. That's not healthcare. That's hostage-taking. We are the only developed nation on Earth where getting a diagnosis feels like getting handed a death sentence and a collections notice at the same time. 62% of bankruptcies in America involve medical debt. And let me tell you something even more disgusting. Nearly half of those people had health insurance. That's right, they were covered. And they still lost their homes, their credit, and their dignity because they had the audacity to get sick in the richest country in the world. And guess what? Big insurance companies made over $46 billion in profit in 2024. United Health alone banked $22 billion. They're not providing care. They're selling denial. They're banking on you not needing them. And if you do, they'll bury you in paperwork, stall your approval, and dump you the second they can. Oh, and let's not forget that premiums are now getting deducted straight from paychecks. You don't even see that money. You work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and before you can even use your money, it's gone. Health insurance is now the biggest monthly expense for millions, more than rent in some cases. And that's if you're lucky enough to have a job that offers benefits. If you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, you're looking at $1,000 a month or more just to cover yourself. And if you can't pay, one broken bone, one bad scan, one ER visit, and your life is financially over. Welcome to American healthcare, a system designed to treat your bank account before your body. 6. America's real unemployment problem is hiding in plain sight. You've heard it, right? Unemployment is at a historic low. It's a lie, a straight-up manipulation. The real number isn't 3.9%. That's Fantasyland data pulled from a narrow group of people who checked one specific box in a government survey. Let's talk about the real story, the U6 unemployment rate, which includes part-time workers who want full-time jobs and people who gave up looking altogether. That's currently sitting at 7.8% and climbing. And if we're being really honest, if we include the underemployed, the long-term discouraged, and the ghosted by automation crowd, we're looking at closer to 15 to 18% of the working-age population who are out of the game entirely. That's 1 in 5 Americans economically abandoned, gone, invisible. You want proof? Let's look at labor force participation. It's stuck at 62.6%, which is where it was in 1977, before the internet, before globalization, before 40 years of shipping manufacturing jobs to China. That means over 37% of working-age Americans are not working. Why? Because the economy has nothing for them. We killed the trades. We outsourced the factories. Then we filled the service sector with AI, kiosks, and apps. You don't need 5 bank tellers if you've got a touchscreen. You don't need 10 retail workers if you've got self-checkout. The new economy is a pyramid, and the only people winning are the ones who own the server farms and the data centers. Meanwhile, the average unemployed American is now unemployed for 20.2 weeks. That's 5 months without income, in a country where 64% of people couldn't handle a $500 emergency. And if you do have a job, half of all new hires in 2025 are part-time, gig-based, or temp roles. There are now 11.9 million people working multiple jobs just to survive. This isn't prosperity. This is labor market rot. And you know what the government's doing? Cooking the books and pushing retraining programs for people who used to build cars, and now they're supposed to become digital content specialists at age 58. It's a joke. There are no jobs because there are no jobs. What we have is churn, low wage, no benefit, soul-sucking roles that burn people out and replace them with younger, cheaper bodies. That's not employment. That's exploitation. The real economy isn't booming, it's hemorrhaging. And we're all being told to smile while we bleed. 5. The death of American infrastructure is accelerating the collapse. This one's going to hit a little differently because it's not about rent or wages. It's about rot. Physical, tangible, concrete rot. Let's talk about American infrastructure. Our roads, bridges, trains, grids, water lines. You know, the stuff that makes modern life possible. The stuff you assume will always be there. It's collapsing, quietly, and no one's fixing it. According to the American Society of Civil Engineers, we currently hold a national infrastructure GPA of C. And that's a generous grade. There are over 45,000 bridges in the United States that are structurally deficient. Every time you drive over one, you're taking a gamble. The average age of a U.S. bridge is now 44 years, many of them built with lifespans of 50. We're driving on borrowed time. Our electrical grid? Laughable. In 2024, there were over 330 major outages, defined as events impacting over 50,000 customers. That's up 78% from a decade ago. The grid is aging, overstressed, and now being asked to support electric vehicles, AI data centers, and population growth, all while power companies continue laying off staff and cutting maintenance to maximize profits. But here's the kicker. Rural America is being left behind entirely. Small towns across the Midwest and South are living with water systems that leak, power lines that snap with every storm, and roads that haven't been paved since the Clinton administration. Now let's talk trains. Remember East Palestine, Ohio? That wasn't an anomaly, that was a preview. America's rail infrastructure is so neglected that 1,700 derailments occur every year. Yes, you heard that right, 1,700. That's nearly 5 derailments per day. You just don't hear about most of them. But it's all breaking down. The pipes, the ports, the sewers, the sidewalks, even our schools. More than half of U.S. public schools report structural issues or outdated HVAC systems, meaning millions of children are learning in buildings that are literally falling apart. Congress authorized $1.2 trillion for infrastructure back in 2021, and yet somehow only 28% of those funds have been deployed as of late 2025. Where's the rest? Stuck in bureaucracy? Earmarked for pet projects? Siphoned by contractors? Or just vanished into the void of government inefficiency? The result? You pay taxes, your roads collapse, your power shuts off, and the guy in charge builds a new bike path in his wealthy suburb. You want to know what's really happening to America? It's not just economic collapse, it's structural decay, and it's accelerating. 4. The Great American Tax Trap. You're being bled dry and don't even know it. You are not middle class. You are not upwardly mobile. You are not thriving. You are the extraction point. The United States government is bleeding its citizens with taxes that no one voted for and no one fully understands. You know what I'm talking about? Death by 1,000 cuts. You think your federal income tax is the problem? That's just the beginning. Because while you're focused on the IRS, you're getting blindsided by state income tax, local sales tax, property tax, gas tax, phone tax, car registration tax, capital gains tax, utility surcharges, environmental fees, toll roads, bridge fees, school levies, and even taxes on your retirement income in some states. That's not taxation. That's institutionalized skimming. The average American family with 2 earners making a combined $100,000 per year pays roughly $25,000 in federal and state income taxes. Now subtract another $8,000 in payroll taxes. Then take out $6,000 in sales tax, $7,800 in property tax, and another $4,000 across fuel, tolls, and miscellaneous levies. You're looking at over $50,000 per year in taxes on a $100,000 income. That's half of your life, half of your work week, half of your sweat, gone before you even get to use it. And where does it go? Are the roads paved? Are the schools elite? Are your streets safe? Is your healthcare world-class? No. It goes to bloated bureaucracies, $100 million fighter jets that never get deployed, and interest payments on a $34.6 trillion national debt that is mathematically unpayable. And if you own a home, you know the scam runs deeper. You never really own it. You're renting it from the government via property tax. Miss 3 payments? Boom, foreclosure. They'll take it. Doesn't matter if it's paid off. You die? Welcome to the death tax. Try to leave something for your kids? Get ready for capital gains and estate tax hell. Every possible life decision, owning, saving, retiring, is structured around maximizing what the government can take from you and minimizing what you keep. And the cherry on top? You still get billed $200 a month for trash pickup and pothole repairs in cities like San Francisco or Chicago, despite paying more than 10% in local taxes. You want to know why you feel poor? Because you are. You are the machine's fuel. You get nothing back, and you're told to be grateful for it. 3. The food inflation cover-up, why you're starving on a full stomach. This one's personal, because I know you feel it. Every single time you walk into the grocery store, you walk out confused, angry, or straight up afraid. Prices are insane, and the worst part? They're lying to you about it. The government's official numbers say food inflation is around 3.2% for 2025. But step inside a Safeway or Kroger and tell me you believe that nonsense. Ground beef that used to be $3.49 lb is now $6.29. A dozen eggs? Try $5.49. And those are the sad, factory-farmed ones. Organic? Forget it. Milk is pushing $6 a gallon, and the price of flour has nearly doubled in under 18 months. But here's the sickest part. They've shrunk the packages. You're paying more for less. That's shrinkflation, and it's corporate robbery in plain sight. A family-size box of cereal in 2019 was 19 ounces. Today, 13.5 ounces for the same price or more. Cans of tuna that were 5 Oz are now 3.7 Oz. Your potato chips? A third of the bag is air, and the rest is inflation. They call it shrinkflation to be clever, but let's be real. It's fraud by omission. And when you call them out, they say, well, we haven't raised prices too much. Yeah, because they cut the product down to children's lunchbox portions. The USDA just admitted that food at home prices are up 25.6% since January 2020. But that number is averaged out. It hides the horror in plain sight. Some categories, like meat, dairy, and baby formula, are up 40–60%. That's not inflation. That's a food crisis disguised as normal. And while you're deciding whether to buy chicken or eggs this week, corporate food giants like Tyson, Conagra, and Nestlé are reporting record profits. The cost didn't go up for them. They just jacked up the price and blamed it on the supply chain. Meanwhile, food insecurity in the U.S. has risen to 17%, meaning nearly 1 in 5 households is skipping meals, rationing, or eating lower-quality food just to survive. That includes seniors, veterans, and full-time workers. School lunch programs are feeding kids who have parents working 2 jobs. And if you think this isn't about you, wait until you lose your job or your rent goes up again. You're one missed paycheck away from eating ramen for breakfast. And if you have kids, it's worse. Their nutrition is collateral damage in a system that treats food like a stock portfolio. They want us quiet, fat, malnourished, and dependent. Because hungry, people don't revolt. They comply. 2. The silent collapse of American education. Your kids will be broke and blindfolded. We are raising a generation that has no future. Not because they're lazy, not because they're glued to their phones, but because the American education system has collapsed, quietly, slowly, and deliberately. The same country that once put a man on the moon can no longer produce students who can read at grade level. In fact, according to the 2025 National Assessment of Educational Progress, 68% of U.S. 8th graders are not proficient in reading. Let me say that again. 2 out of 3 kids can't read properly by age 14. And it's even worse for math. 74% are below proficiency. We are pumping out kids who can't do long division, can't write a coherent sentence, and can't name the 3 branches of government, but can tell you every TikTok trend, pronoun, and influencer by heart. This is not a coincidence. It is by design. We've shifted from teaching knowledge to pushing agendas, from critical thinking to conformity. And while our children are being turned into algorithm-trained zombies, other nations are passing us by. China is building AI labs in public high schools. South Korea has 98% literacy. Meanwhile, we're arguing over which books to ban, while 40% of American high schools don't offer Algebra 2 anymore. And you know what happens to these kids after graduation? They either get funneled into a predatory student loan system, where they're forced to borrow $100,000+ for a piece of paper that can't get them a job, or they enter the workforce completely unprepared for anything beyond fast food. Want to know why we can't find plumbers, welders, electricians? Because we stopped teaching trades. We told kids the only path was college. So they went, got into debt, and now they're Uber drivers with master's degrees. We are watching the intellectual infrastructure of America collapse in real time, And while our kids get dumber, the system gets richer. Student loan debt in the US is over $1.8 trillion. That's more than credit card and auto debt combined. It's generational debt slavery disguised as opportunity. And now, with AI taking over white-collar work, these kids won't even have desk jobs to chase. They'll be in permanent economic limbo, unable to buy homes, start families, or retire. We didn't just fail them, we sold them off for profit. Welcome to America's final export. Ignorance. 1. The illusion of wealth. Why the American dream is now a weapon. Here's what they don't want you to understand. The entire U.S. economy is no longer built on productivity, innovation, or hard work. It's built on illusion, on digits on a screen, on fake valuations, inflated assets, synthetic growth, and a dollar that's being hollowed out from the inside like a termite-infested house. What you think is wealth, it's paper. What you think is stability, it's leverage. What you think is growth, it's a delayed collapse. Let me say it clearly. America is not rich anymore. We are leveraged. And that illusion is the greatest weapon ever created to keep a population docile, broke, distracted, and obedient. Right now, U.S. household wealth is at an all-time high, $156 trillion. Sounds impressive, right? Until you realize $131 trillion of that is locked in inflated real estate, overvalued equities, and speculative assets like crypto, NFTs, and retirement funds that can vaporize in a single market crash. Meanwhile, U.S. debt is now over $95 trillion when you combine federal, corporate, and household obligations. We are in a scenario where the average American family owes more than they own. If asset values correct even 15%, we go negative. And that correction? It's not if, it's when. And what about the dollar, the global reserve currency? It's being drained of value every time the Fed prints another billion to paper over the rot. Since 2008, the U.S. money supply has increased over 400%, yet we've produced fewer durable goods, built fewer factories, and manufactured less real value. It's not just inflation. It's currency devaluation masked as prosperity. We look richer, but we're not. Your savings are worth less. Your time is worth less. And your future? It's been sold off to hedge funds and foreign investors who are now buying American farmland, water rights, and entire housing blocks with cash, while you struggle to get approved for a 7% mortgage on a one-bedroom. The American dream was once a house, a car, a pension, and a future. Now it's a car loan that lasts longer than your relationships, a 50-year mortgage, and the hope that your kids' GoFundMe gets traction when they need cancer treatment. And yet, people still believe, still grind, still say someday. Why? Because the illusion is comforting. The illusion gives them purpose. It gives them something to chase. But it's not real. It hasn't been for decades. You're not chasing freedom. You're running on a treadmill designed by people who figured out how to turn hope into revenue. And the most sinister part? The illusion makes you blame yourself. If you can't afford a home, it's because you're lazy. If you're in debt, it's because you didn't budget right. If you're working 2 jobs and still broke, it's your fault for buying coffee. That's the lie. That's the prison. The truth? The ladder was pulled up. The rungs were greased. The entire structure of the American economy has been tilted against the very people it pretends to protect. You were never meant to win. You were meant to consume, to work, to pay interest, to die on time. You want to know what's really happening to the U.S. economy right now? It's collapsing from the inside out, not with a bang, but with quiet despair, with working families skipping meals, with veterans living in tents, with 70-year-olds bagging groceries, with people staring at their phone, wondering why their $80,000 income feels like poverty, with a system that hands out trillions to Wall Street and breadcrumbs to Main Street. This is not a recession. This is not a downturn. This is not a cycle. This is a controlled demolition of the middle class, and most people won't know it until the dust is already in their lungs. If you're still holding out hope that this is just a rough patch, I need you to snap out of it, Because this isn't a cycle. This is a collapse. You are living through the largest wealth transfer in modern history, and the scariest part is that most people won't realize it until there's nothing left to transfer. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, to extract, to silence, to grind you down while selling you the lie that things will go back to normal. There is no normal. That version of America is gone. Right now, you're not being governed. You're being harvested for your labor, your taxes, your data, your compliance, and your silence. And the people doing it, they're not coming to save you. They are the reason you need saving. So if you've made it this far, don't just feel this. Do something. Talk to your family. Rethink your finances. Protect your energy. Build your plan B, your backup strategy, your off-ramp. Because when the next wave hits, it won't be slow. And there won't be warnings. Just fallout. And as always, stay awake, stay alert, stay unshakable. Because no one is coming. It's up to you now.